Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to be with all of you again, after what seems to be, gosh, like 10,000 years or more. So we're continuing our reading from the Bhagavatam, and we're indoors today because it is cold and rainy. Welcome to London.
Okay, it's Canto 3, Chapter 24, Text 10.
I think it's 9. She says it's 10, and I'm a little bit unsure, but...
Well, I marked that 10. See? That's my marking system.
Yeah, and I had a mark in mine.
Oh.
But, I mean, let's read 9, and if we had read it already, we'll recognize it, right? I didn't recognize it.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 9. Brahma, the firstborn living being, went along with Marichi and other sages to the place of Kardama's hermitage, which was surrounded by the river Saraswati.
I personally don't remember that.
Oh, God. Alright. Hold up. Brahma is called Swayambhu because he is not born of any material father and mother. He is the first living creature and is born from the lotus which grows from the abdomen of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Therefore, he is called Swayambhu, self-born.
Anyway, you can tell us if we read that already.
Moving on.
Text 10. Maitreya continued. O killer of the enemy, the unborn Lord Brahma, who is almost independent in acquiring knowledge, could understand that a portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his quality of pure existence, had appeared in the womb of Devahuti, just to explain the complete state of knowledge known as Sankhya Yoga. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, it is stated that the Lord himself is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra and is the perfect knower of the Vedanta Sutra. Anyone knows the verse? You can put it in the comments. Similarly, the Sankhya philosophy is compiled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his appearance as Kapila. There is an imitation Kapila who has a Sankhya philosophy system, but Kapila, the incarnation of God, is different from that Kapila. Kapila, the son of Kardama Muni, in his system of Sankhya philosophy, very explicitly explained not only the material world, but also the spiritual world. Brahma could understand this fact because he is Swarat, almost independent in receiving knowledge. He is called Swarat because he did not go to any school or college to learn, but learned everything from within. Because Brahma is the first living creature within the universe, he had no teacher. His teacher was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, who is seated in the heart of every living creature. Brahma acquired knowledge directly from the Supreme Lord within the heart. Therefore, he is sometimes called Swarat or Aja.
Another important point is stated here. Satvainam Sena. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he brings with him all his paraphernalia of Vaikuntha. Therefore, his name, his form, his quality, his paraphernalia, and his entourage all belong to the transcendental world. Real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must also be some tinges of passion, ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed quality of goodness prevails. There, the quality of goodness is called Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. Another name for Shuddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from Vasudeva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Amsena also indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appeared as Kapila Dev in a portion of his portion. God expands either as Kala or as Amsa. Amsa means direct expansion and Kala means expansion of the expansion. There is no difference between the expansion of the expansion, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly, as there is no difference between one candle and another, but still the candle from which the others are lit is called the original Krishna. Krishna therefore, candle isn't the original Krishna.
Well, it is. That's not what it says in the book exactly.
Krishna therefore is called the Parabrahman, or the ultimate Godhead, and cause of all causes.
This analogy always gets me a little bit, obviously there's the original candle and then you light all the other candles, and in one sense they're obviously all equal as long as they're all equal candles. But it often seems that the expansions of the Godhead, the expansions of Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not all exactly equal, but I guess this means on the kind of spiritual and transcendental platform, because they are expansions of their origin, then it's non-different. But it's not that they necessarily won't have more potency. Is that right, or what do you think?
They won't have more potency?
They won't necessarily have greater potency than the original Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Because you're like a smaller part of him.
Well, that's what I'm understanding. But of course, anything that expands from the Lord remains perfect and complete. But, we're also expansions of Him, but we're considered qualitatively the same, but quantitatively different. So I guess that principle applies also to the different umsas of the Lord that expand. So and that has to be true actually, because we understand Krishna is in possession of full 64 qualities, whereas Lord Narayan is in possession of 60. And I think Lord Shiva is in possession of something else, like 50, 54, 58, or something like that. Anyway, and then different expansions have a different quantitative amount of potency. Yeah, like that. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting when it says the Supreme Personality appears and he brings like everything with him. His form, quality, entourage, everything. We can relate to that to a lesser extent, like we said before, when you have like celebrities coming into town and when they take over some hotel or some whatever, and then the stylists, the nutritionists, and this, everything, the PR people, the comms, everything comes with them when they roll into town. It's not that they just come by themselves with their suitcase and check in. And it's a whole big thing, everyone gets excited, the media, the fans, they've rolled in and all their vehicles and everything, and then they roll out. So you can relate to understand that's how Krishna is, he's the original celebrity person, as it were. When he rolls in, he brings his old tract of land and everything with him.
Yeah, I'm always, whenever that's mentioned, I'm always remember Kadambakananda Maharaj when he gave one of the first classes I saw. Well, first class I ever saw him give. It was just after he had taken sannyas, I think, and at Soho Street and in ISKCON London. And he mentioned how when we go on holiday, we pack a bag, take a couple of bags, try to take so many things. But when the Lord goes on holiday, means when he comes to the spiritual world, he doesn't just bring a couple of bags, he brings his entire tract of land and all his associates and the river and the mountain and everything else. And So that's what he brings when he goes on holiday. So.
So it's not just us that can feel bad that we overpack our suitcase. He also doesn't travel light, so he can get away with it.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have to go through immigration, that's for sure.
He is the immigration.
Yeah. And then the other part that I wanted to point out in this highlighted was this principle of Shuddha Sattva. So there's Sattva, but then there's Shuddha Sattva, and that is the goodness, quality of goodness. It's pure goodness. And it's often mentioned that that's also known as the Vasudev state, or can be called, well, Prabhupada says here it's called Vasudev, because Krishna appeared from Vasudev. So that means that Vasudev, the father of Krishna, of course we often talk Nanda Maharaj being the father of Krishna, but we know he actually appeared through Vasudeva and Devaki, that Vasudev's consciousness was pure enough to allow him to first manifest within the heart of Vasudeva, and then Vasudeva transferred him into the womb of Devaki. So I always find this very intriguing, and I have heard some lectures that I don't remember in full, but just discussing, and especially on Janmashtami, this principle of having the right consciousness, and that way the Lord can manifest in our heart. Not that he just appears in the world, but he's in our heart, as we were also just reading. And because he's situated in our heart, then he manifests there in our heart, and that is also an appearance, but we have to be in the right consciousness. And just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just reading that as well in The Journey Home by Radhanath Maharaj.
Journey Within?
The Journey Within. Yeah, Journey Within by Radhanath Maharaj. And he was saying to the degree that we, the spirit souls, start to learn the transcendental knowledge and digest and understand it, we as spirit soul will shine through, will see through the eyes of grace, and it will be, you can tell when people are going deeper and getting purified, and they look different. And he was saying that with your true self, your spirit soul will shine brightly and through, and it'll be seen.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, text 11.
Just going to take a quick little break. I just want to make sure that the recording's happening properly, because we're trying something different today, so just please bear with us. Okay, all fine. Text 11, yep. Is it me? Yep. Text 11. After worshiping the Supreme Lord with gladdened senses and a pure heart for his intended activities as an incarnation, Brahma spoke as follows to Kardama and Devahuti. Purport. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, anyone who understands the transcendental activities, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is to be considered liberated. Again, another verse. If anyone knows it, put it in the comments. Brahma is therefore a liberated soul. Although he is in charge of this material world, he is not exactly like the common living entity, since he is liberated from the majority of the follies of the common living entities. He was in knowledge of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he therefore worshipped the Lord's activities. And with a glad heart, he also praised Kardama Muni, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Kapila, had appeared as his son. One who can become the father of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is certainly a great devotee. There is a verse spoken by a Brahmana in which he says that he does not know what the Vedas and what the Puranas are, but while others might be interested in the Vedas or Puranas, he is interested in Nanda Maharaj, who appeared as the father of Krishna. The Brahmana wanted to worship Nanda Maharaj because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a child crawled in the yard of his house. These are some of the good sentiments of the devotees. If a recognized devotee brings forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son, how he should be praised. Therefore, Brahma not only worshipped the incarnation of Godhead, Kapila, but also praised his so-called father, Kardama Muni.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice point. You know, not going too lofty and into the Vedas doing this and that. It's quite simple and nice point. No, but what about, let me worship the devotees that had the, well, obviously good qualification and mercy to have Krishna, like, you know, pretend to appear as their son, because he wouldn't do that to any old person. So they must be pretty amazing. And then it makes you think, like in your own lives, like in terms of association with devotees and, you know, the service they do and whatever. Not saying one service is better than the other like that, but then you can appreciate, okay, well, such and such deities are engaging them in service, or Srila Prabhupada has put them here, put them there. So let me appreciate that.
Nice, very nice, yeah. Kind of goes in line with Krishna's mentality that, you know, one who thinks that he's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who is the devotee of my devotee, he is actually my devotee. So that's a powerful statement. Okay.
Text 12. Lord Brahma said, "My dear son Kardama, since you have completely accepted my instructions without duplicity, showing them proper respect, you have worshipped me properly. Whatever instructions you took from me, you have carried out, and thereby you have honored me." Lord Brahma, as the first living entity within the universe, is supposed to be the spiritual master of everyone, and he is also the father, the creator of all beings. Kardama Muni is one of the Prajapatis or creators of the living entities, and he is also a son of Brahma. Brahma praises Kardama because he carried out the orders of the spiritual master in toto and without cheating. A conditioned soul in the material world has the disqualification of cheating. He has 4 disqualifications. He is sure to commit mistakes, he is sure to be illusioned, he is prone to cheat others, and his senses are imperfect. But if one carries out the order of the spiritual master by disciplic succession or the parampara system, he overcomes the 4 defects. Therefore, knowledge received from the bona fide spiritual master is not cheating. Any other knowledge which is manufactured by the conditioned soul is cheating only. Brahma knew well that Kardama Muni exactly carried out the instructions received from him, and that he actually honored his spiritual master. To honor the spiritual master means to carry out his instructions word for word.
Wow.
Not to question them, not to debate them in the mind, not to think, did he mean this instead of that, or did he not mean it at all? Was it a half-hearted instruction? Just follow it. Hare Krishna.
Gosh. That's, yeah, makes me think of a couple instructions I've been given that I may not be fully carrying out. Yeah, word for word. Word for word. Any thoughts on this?
I just gave my thoughts.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I became a little bit like, oh, okay, because I had lost the plot a little bit, like, where was Lord Brahma in this? But basically what happened is Kardama had agreed to give a male child to Devahuti, and then became realized that the male child would be Kapila Deva in incarnation, and because of that, all the great personalities from the demigods, they all started to come, and Brahma came with Marichi, or Maricha. Marichi. Marichi. Interesting. So like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, how important it is to follow out the orders of the spiritual master. And so Brahma was saying here, because you've done that and you've pleased me, then you're being benedicted. So like that. Okay. I think it might be, maybe we call it quits. Okay, so we'll take a break here for today, and we look forward to seeing you again on Bhagavatam Bites next time. Hare Krishna. Please read the Granthāraj Srimad Bhagavatam and become enlightened and inspired and absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.